What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the impromptu and surprise trifecta stream with two guys that I've been working very closely with, and you guys know a lot about and have been seeing a lot of content from. This is perfect timing with this awesome price action that we're having, and now we're going to get a little bit more context for you guys to know, what's been going on, with price, what's been going on chain, what's been going on with liquidity. And I'm excited to be hosting and to bringing this information to all of you guys. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And without further ado, Silver, AXiS, what's up, guys?
What's going on, everybody?
Yo.
Hey, people.
Oh, man.
Over 5 cents. Yeah, baby.
Yes, sir. Been waiting for this for a while, right?
Here we go.
Charts are looking pretty good, man. The kind of reaction we just saw off the short-term moving average is pretty insane at this 5-cent support.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought when we were first getting to when we first tapped 5 cents, 4.9 cents, I'm like, okay, that was a fun rally. Let's go for a retrace, and then we'll go back. And then now it's just, just slow and steady up since then. So it's been fun to watch at the very least.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked that I'm getting to do a public stream now with Silver as well. It's something that really complements his Chainalysis and his thought process on the market. Really complements my TA, and now that I've adopted more of a data-based approach to analyzing the inflation rates and the T-share rate and coming end stakes, future market supply, and overall just wallet watching, so to speak, that really reinforces major price growth that's coming in the very short term. And it's all a function of supply and demand, and we'll be able to prove it in the stream. So I'm excited to be here, and welcome in, Silver. Miss you, man. Good to have you.
Yeah, guys. Like I was saying backstage, these two guys, everybody out there who's listening, these two guys are amazing, both in their entire fields that they do. So Sloth is out there smashing away. He's an extreme educator, goes deep into trying to find all the information. He portrays it in such a fantastic way, breaks it down, makes it simple, purely for your education. So this is why, I took him. I wanted to come into my Discord where we had a group running for, I don't know, maybe the last 6 months, maybe. I'm not exactly sure when we started it. And AXiS, obviously, for his outstanding charts. He does a lot of breakdowns of the fundamentals, the technicals. He even looks at the macros. So basically, these two guys combined with what it is that I provide when we pull chain data into it, this is why we call it the trifecta. Everyone inside of this group right now, we each harness a very unique ability to describe what exactly is going on and to make it digestible for everybody who's listening. So hats off to you guys. I'm honored as well to be on stream with both of you. It's the first time, I think, ever. Is it the first time we will talk live? I think it is.
I think so.
And yeah.
Pretty awesome.
So here we are. This is groundbreaking. We've come out of the bear. We smashed through what is resistance by TA terminology, but from STA terminologies, we knew this. I knew this was coming quite a way off, but we just had to have that confirmation happen, obviously on the chain and through the charts, to know exactly where we are right now. So where should we take this conversation? We're going to be on for probably about 30 minutes, guys. So please, if you have any questions, send it into the chat. Sloth will manage it for us and interject it.
Well, why don't you start off, Silver? What have you been seeing these past couple months or the past couple weeks?
Well, we could do an overview last couple of months. So state of chain would be during the down pressure. We went into a cycle where there were no real buyers actually in the system at all. It was all just traders trading among themselves, winding it down. You had the original, stakers cashing out along the way, driving the price down. Traders, washing between themselves. Some win, some lose. Pretty much like a casino. Majority of people would always lose. Now, we got to a stage where there would be certain players who had quite large amounts. We obviously had quite a lot of FUD come through as well at the same time. And, SEC type, news events, certain things which just impacted the market and I assume created a lot of panic inside of some of the very big wallets. Because when you have a lot of hex, you're presented with a problem. Because even if you have paper value, you still cannot extract that value based on liquidity. And a lot of people talk about liquidity, but it's a real factor inside of smallish coins. And I wouldn't say hex is small, but we got to a point where it's quite hard to exit, millions of dollars. So
Mhm.
they got to a pinch, and it comes to a point where it's like, you got two fat guys trying to run towards the door. Well, only one of you can get out. So, they one of them will decide, you know what, I'm going to take what's on the table because you don't know if the other guy is going to do the same thing.
Mhm.
So that is what creates a pinch and a push down to the value that you get, and potentially the other guy isn't even interested, right, of actually cashing out. He's just gonna hold on. So that's what happened. We hit down to like 1.8, 1.7, 1.5, depending on what chart you're looking at, whatever. Tremendous buy-in came in down there, pushed it up. So let's fast forward to where we are now. We punched through. We got up to about the 3 cent range. So immediately the big selling account that sold 100 150 million is now left with about 50 million left liquid. He literally marked the bottom,
Mhm.
and a lot of people
Right here.
are pulling that out and laughing about him, all this sort of thing. Yeah. So this is fantastic because this creates dilution and distribution, and that's what you want, because we don't want people that don't believe in the system being in the system. We want them out. We want them out as soon as possible and at as lowest price as possible, so they have very little impact on the market, because that's easily absorbed by the majority of buyers. As you can see on AXiS's chart right now, that sideways action coming out of there, that is distribution, dilution of that entire balance. And a lot of that will have been absorbed, because as soon as there's a quick wick down, that is quickly snapped up by eager opportunity. And they generally are happy with, say, a 20-30% flip on what their investment is, and they're out. So equally, a lot of them get washed out in the process as well, because all they're going to do is regurgitate the values into ultimately what is going to be the long-term holder. So what we started to see, if you come through to early February, is that big breakout. So that big breakout actually resulted in moving up the price of about 30 cent. Sorry, 3 cent. And during that phase, that is again what would many traders class as like a blow off top, overexposure, risk, take profits off the table. But what we understand inside of Hex is this thing is like one of the most monstrous, energy consuming vehicles out there, which does not give a damn about 20, 30, 100, 2x, 5x, 10x moves. This thing is like parabolic when it starts to move, when it changes trend direction, not to mention the decorrelation that it actually can have
Yeah, we
inside of
can
the
pull it up.
market, which is
Mhm.
which has been stated many times. Wales pulls this out quite a lot as well.
Mhm.
And this is this is
This is
exactly
actually
it.
falling. This was actually at 8% this morning. Now it's 7%.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this thing, it just basically, it has no respect for the market. It's like it's a
100%.
brutal it's a force you cannot, are we allowed to swear inside this? I don't know. Can I say
Yeah,
something?
go ahead, man.
We have
This
Yes.
adult
this
ears here.
yeah, this this thing don't fuck around. When it starts to move, it fucking rips, and that is
Yeah.
exactly what Hex does. And it also it's a knock-on effect into the the other solid coins that we talk about inside of the ecosystem that us three we respect a lot. It transitions through, so the power move that occurs, it's just mind blowing.
Mhm.
So we go back to the previous chart where we just talked about the February breakout. Yeah, this one. So we had a pull up, we had a flush out again, and this can you can see exactly what's going on chain, and this is why chain is no disrespect to any TA aspects, but it gives you the preliminary aspect of what exactly is taking place, who the players are, what the transitions are between accounts. Are they heavily dollar backed? Do they have more momentum? Are they focused? Are they just looking to swing trade? What exactly is the mentality of the account? So we can see, and I there's probably about there's two major accounts that come to mind during this breakout, and the first one would be the account. Let me just pull it up, which would be 0x1D. So there are people out there who are talking about this account at the moment, and there's some people call it also 7BB. Depends if you call the front or you call the back of the address name. And they actually started to buy, and I did this inside of the Tangent Twitter Spaces. Probably about a couple of hours ago. So I actually laid this out exactly what took place, because I thought, okay, put this data out relevant. I don't always like to try to reveal what players might be up to. I'll just leave it to speculation. But maybe inside of our Discord or inside of private chats, I'll give a bit more information. But today you're going to get exactly what is going on live as of right now, from what I can see, and obviously what AXiS can see and what Sloth can see. So this particular account had probably about 3.6, 3.8 million USD. It fluctuates because they're playing the market. They're trying to do certain moves. So they bought in down in this range, down at about 3.3. I think they bought about 3.5 or 3.6% hex as well. And they basically sent it all the way up to about 4. And then there was a bit of a sideways action that took place. And they continued to send it up. However, there was a wobble, and there was a few accounts which started to sell big, and I need to pull this up just so I can see what numbers we're looking at here. I believe it was about 4.5 cents. So they basically created both candles, the low one and the high one, came in with a lot of firepower. And this is like, very strange, because this is just one account, and yet we have like, 100 sharks. We got well, can't include the whales, but we've got dolphins, we've got all these things. But this is just basically one large player created this. So where the hell is everybody else? Are they just selling? This is something I was considering as a risk factor before I even want to speak, because I don't want to put out any information and say, okay, guys, buy, because obviously can't give financial advice. But because of the liquidity situation, because it's so thin, it doesn't take literally anyone. It's like, a few $1 million is enough to make this thing fly. And with the continuation, which you can see, the rallying in behind, people, fearing what's going on.
Mhm.
So long story, we get to about the 4.2 range,
Mhm.
and maybe 4.3, 4.4. And then suddenly this guy or lady, whoever it may be, decides to create a liquidity wall. And this is inside of, again, I apologies, I cannot remember the name, but I retweeted it. The guy nailed it on the video. Exactly what was depicted inside
Sami.
that video
Yeah,
is exactly
Sami,
what
your
happened.
friend Sami. Yeah, I'll throw the link to his YouTube channel.
Here's the wall that's
Yeah,
been created. This is completely changed.
Yeah. It's changing. It's evolving all the time. So stick on chart for the moment, AXiS, just so I can keep on reference. So what happened was she attempted to create the wall down in that range in the second spike up, which you're looking at probably about the 5th or 6th of February. That was the first attempt at a wall, and that failed because what happened was there was a $1 million dump into that wall from another actor, which went purely into liquid. They had no backup funds. But what it looks like that happened was that, you know, it spooked the LP provider, because they probably didn't know if there's going to be continuation and how many other, you know, shark accounts or high level dolphins might wish to cash out liquid into that range. So they pulled it, which is what created the continuation down to, I think it was about 3.8. Is that correct on the chart? I cannot quite see.
3.8. Yep, that held the support.
Okay. Yep. So it basically it took position off of there. There was buy volume that came back in, shot back up, and from about, I think it was maybe 4 or 4.2, they then, you know, they decided that, okay, this is now good enough. You know, it's not going down. This is strong.
Yeah.
And they resume position.
Yeah.
So that
from a
account
technical
was
level,
extremely
Silver,
big.
when that
Yeah.
person came and brought the price back up to this key level
Mhm.
here, it was the wick high off this level here on February 3rd around 4
Yeah.
p.m. That was the point when the organic bid demand was able to bring the price back up into that top of that bull flag range right here. That is when it was decided probably to plant that again. And if you switch to the 15-minute chart, you can see why. Is because this was, I'm assuming this was organic demand, and that these were attempted sells that just kept failing, and we consolidated at that level. And that's probably where the confidence came back into reset. And let me
Yeah.
do one more thing before you go
Sure.
on. So there was a point in the history of Hex where we also did a similar vertical move like this, and this goes back to like the major breakout of May of 2021, when the price went from 2.5 cents to 6.6 cents, and then retrace all the way back to 3.3 cents. And this is significant because inside of here you can actually see what that bull flag looked like. So what I did on my own accord was I switched it to, I took this fractal when we made that high, and I projected this out, and I pulled it to the modern time so I could see how this could play out on the 4-hour chart. And so I actually had projected out that even if the price chart were to get met with massive selling, like we did the last time we tried to do this, the chart would still be able to recover as long as we didn't break the 3.5 bid support level, which was about here, roughly. As long as this held, we were going to be okay for that guy to set up a liquidity wall at some point within the next week or two. Now, I was surprised when we came back up to test so soon, because we didn't get any break below like we did. Remember, look at here on the fractal, we had a massive break below. But on the last time we ran up, well, that didn't happen this time. We caught support on the bottom of the flag this time, and we trended organically back up in to test that wick high. So to me, this was showing immense strength. And to me, I think that was the signal that the liquidity provider took, because we totally invalidated that fractal. And we are just absolutely ludicrously bullish and sitting on the edge of a liquidity wall now.
And real quick, here's a question and a generous super chat from Crypto Lunchbox, and he brings up a good point, another piece of context to add in this picture that we're painting. So he says, God will end stake February 14th. What will happen to T-share rate and payout for stakers, as well as Hedron and Icosa staking? What's unrelated info? Glad to see you three on stream. Post Discord link in description, please.
That'll be a sloth question.
Yep. So let's see. Well, first, thank you, Luckbox, for that generous super chat. I appreciate it. And so I think you have that stake on your chart, right, AXiS? Is that what that vertical line is?
This is the Godwill stake here in this cross here. So this will be February 14th. And this is roughly where your fractal would have bottomed, ironically enough. We've seen such overperformance now in the chart that it's kind of throwing everything out the window. And we're getting into that like actual real virality, real FOMO type moment here, where we're doing things to the chart that is just like, you're getting into the point now where the liquidity is so low and you're on the edge of basically going parabolic on unless somebody starts shifting liquidity around, right? Or some massive sellers comes down. But this now gives people an opportunity to purchase large amounts without incurring that much slippage. And that's the problem for sellers is now you've created this scenario where they're being choked out and they have no choice but to buy.
Mhm.
And
Now,
this is, days before
All right,
this.
guys, I'm gonna hit you with one thing, and
Mhm.
I don't think anyone's even said it yet. What is the 14th of February?
Valentine's Day. Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
So he's gonna be sharing the love on Valentine's Day.
Yep.
Yep.
Actually had that same thought separately, so it's good that you said that.
Before
Right?
I
Ratchet
get
it up.
before I get into like the effect of Hedron, Icosa, and everything, quickly, AXiS. I know on your website you just posted is it blog post or like like a
it's
blog
a blog
post?
post. Mhm.
Yeah, a blog post about this specific event. So you want to share that with everybody quickly? And everyone, this is AXisALiVE.com. I'll throw that in the chat.
This is my new website, axisALiVE.com. There you can sign up for free to get these blog posts that I will be updating once a week. And inside of here, I detail, basically it was in the beginning, it was just like explaining why it matters that Hex is 95% transparently traded on chain and the downfalls of centralized versus decentralized trading and why DeFi trading is so important for price breakouts. And then there's a little bit of technical analysis, but then we get into the liquidity. So leading into this whole Godwell stake that's ending, two things are happening. There's a huge liquidity squeeze going on where just a month ago, we had hundreds of millions, 200, 300 million hex in the pools, and that has seen a parabolic decrease in the amount of hex in the pools. You're currently sitting at roughly 20 to 30 million hex in the pools. It's a factor of 10 times less hex available for sale. Meanwhile, the other side of the trade on the ETH pair, you've seen a parabolic advance of new ETH in the pools, and the USDC is doing a gradual parabola, just the beginning to see the forming of new USDC coming into the pools to purchase hex. And now that this liquidity is gone, it really puts buyers in a conundrum because they have to decide, are they going to buy here? Are they going to try to play this game of buying lower, which, obviously we're showing you that that's becoming an increasingly less of a possibility. So that leads us into the basically the liquidity squeeze that's going on. And so then this here is the share rate, and effectively what happens on February 14th is this massive end stake comes off on the 14th, and the price of a T share is going to go up from roughly 25,800 hex to 26,452 roughly. And so what that equates to is about a 660 hex per T share increase. In dollar terms, that's about a $273 at 3.8 cents. But the problem is the T share rate is a function of the dollar price of hex. So hex right now is sitting at 5.3 cents. So it's actually no longer $273. It's let's see here. So if it goes up by 660 times, I'm sorry. Let me clarify. This is if the Godwell were to stake every 45 days for the rest of the year, in 1 year, he would increase by himself the share rate by 6,500 hex, which would be $273 at 3.8 cents. So this is assuming that Godwell continues to do 45-day stakes to ratchet the share price against the ecosystem, which lessens the ability for short-term stakers to pull more profit out of the system on a shorter term basis and forces them to lock their coins out longer, which reinforces and is a pumpamental of price. Now, again, that 660 hex increase, it's about $25. Okay, so it doesn't seem like much. That was at 3.8 cents. But now the price has moved up. So now that increase is going to look more like this, $34. So in that price move that we've seen over the last literal 2 days, you've seen like a 33% increase in dollar price of a T-share. So what this tries to explain is that if this behavior continues out of Godwell and the share rate goes up by 6,500 going into next year, every time hex price doubles, the price of a T-share is going to double on the last double. So if the price goes back to all-time high, he can himself increase the price in dollar terms of a T-share by $4,370. That's not including any other new demand, no more new stakes coming in, no more other guys ratcheting up the share price. That's him on his own if he continues this behavior. So the point is that to want to front run this And that's the problem that sellers are going to have now, is that you're getting the T-share rate ratcheted against you, the price is compounding against you, and there's no liquidity left to buy, which is creating this De Beers moment where Hex is becoming incredibly rare. And this is honestly the moment that we've been waiting for over 500 days before we made the breakout.
Yep. And I think that's that concept that you said at the end, the De Beers moment, essentially, that translates over really well to what's going to be happening in like the Hedron and Icosa system, where, you know, I've been talking about this at length, but you find the T-share rate, you know, riddled within all of the formulas for like the inflation of the tokens, how yield is distributed, how much yield you get. You know, we see the T-share rate and all of this stuff. So what's about to happen in Hedron and Icosa is everybody who had stuff in the system, whatever that stuff is before this end stake, you know, they're going to be, everybody coming in after these people are going to be more diluted than the people in now. Just the same way that it takes more hex to get the same position that people who were staking when it was 10,000 hex per T-share, your ability to get, say, stake points in the Hedron and Icosa pool is about to become harder. You need to stake more Hedron, more Icosa to get the same number of points that somebody who staked before the Godwell ended his stake. Yeah. And so here on, let me pull up my screen. So here on lookintahedron.com, I have the Icosa Hex LP calculator right here. And, you know, this is pretty much just, you know, it's calculating the ceiling price. It's all it is. And you can use it to set liquidity around the ceiling price if you want. But if you see, it's going to change the ceiling price of Icosa in terms of hex up, you know, 2 whole hex at this point. So it's going from, you know, 36.06 where it's at right now, and then it's moving up to 38.16 hex per Icosa. So that's going to give the Icosa price, and at least in USDC terms and hex terms too, more room to grow. Just because we are, let's see, what are we at in terms of the ceiling price for Icosa hex right now?
Guys, just jumping in quickly. Audio good?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Audio's good. Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I think I need to invert this. Let's see where we at. I don't know what it is right now off the top of my head, but basically the ceiling prices of everything are going up, which is more important for Icosa because Icosa is about, like, let's see, 30-some% off the ceiling price right now. Icosa is 53% from its ARB ceiling price right now. And so, you know, that's a lot closer than the Hedron price, which is 29.7x off. So this is really giving Icosa a little bit more room to breathe, to run up. The amount of Icosa that we're going to get every day per Hedron burned is going down because that formula is the amount of Hedron burned divided by the T-share rate. So if the T-share rate's going up, the yield is going down. So your ability to get Icosa via inflation from staking is going to get a little bit harder. So the difficulty factor, kind of like in Bitcoin, how the more people are mining, the higher the difficulty of the problem is. The T-share rate serves the same function. As the T-share rate goes up, your ability to get the inflation from everything attached to it has now become that much harder. And if you, you know, taking that to what AXiS was just saying is if this continued to happen every 45 days, you know, the difficulty to get access to the T-share, which is the fundamental thing giving this whole ecosystem value, is just getting harder and harder and harder, exponentially so.
So I'm getting like a ceiling price on Icosa around $1.93 right now.
Yep. Which is great. I would love that. 193 Icosa would be nice. But yeah, so Icosa has a lot of room to grow right now, much more than it had before. I think the lowest delta I saw was about 30%. So yeah.
This is probably a good time to bring Silver back in and have him continue with his explanation of the chart.
Yep, he's here. Silver.
If you want to pull up my screen share.
Yep.
Yeah. Might have lost the context now.
Well, we were at the point where basically he reset the wall so we can show the liquidity pool and kind of explain that whole dynamic. If you want.
Yeah. Okay, back on track. We have the sell-off that occurred, and then the reposition, the rallying of the community coming in, adding buy support, adding reconfirmation to 7BB. That decided that okay, this is now good enough to do attempt 2 I guess you could say. And then they initiated the onslaught, the attack, if you like, and yeah, positioned a couple of buyers, and then put in, I think it was about a 2 million wall down in certain price range. What was it? Something like probably between like uh, 3.38 or 4.42, something like that. They resupported it, and then what they actually did was really actually quite interesting, because they knew there was a little bit of liquidity in front of them from about 4.2 to about, or maybe it's from 4, or yeah, from about 4 cent up to about 4.3 or 4.4. There was a little bit there, not a lot. I mean, you're talking like, less than a couple $100,000 of market buy, but that doesn't obviously include limit orders or sell pressure that came in. But they let the market continue with the buy action, and I questioned it a little bit, because I was like, you got the money. Why are you not just buying it and putting the wall higher? But for whatever reason, they decided that, okay, no, we're just going to let the market take it. So the market took it, the market moved it, and it went strong and hard, and perhaps they were surprised as well that actually, it rallied behind them, putting that position in. And next thing you know, it's near enough 5 cents.
Mhm.
So when it started to get into that range, the liquidity was already finished. There wasn't anything really left up there to grab. But there was, it shot through up to 5.5. I've tweeted that, the range between 5 cent and 6 cent is minuscule. You're talking like, less than $500,000 probably
Mhm.
in that little pocket, right?
I got it right here.
I call it the gap, I call it the chasm,
I mean,
depending
there's
on
only
what
16 million
methodology.
hex left. Yeah, this gap here between 5.4
Right.
cents and 6.5 cents. So I
Right.
anticipate once we clear 5.4 cents, which by the way has been the end of the liquidity wall for fucking 4 or 5 months. It's literally been just sitting there. That was the edge of the wall. You clear
Yeah, but it's much
5.4.
larger now. It's much larger now because it's had liquidity added to it to add as buffer,
Mhm.
right? So what the 7BB also do is up at 6.5. If you look at the 6.5 range, up
Right
higher,
here.
keep roll it all the way up. Yeah, keep going
Yeah.
up to
This is
about
like
12
7 cents and
cent.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, this is all 7BB.
All
He
this
added
is all this here.
liquidity outside there. Yes, that's
Okay.
all
Hmm.
So he's
7BB.
trying to set a new
So
range between 6.5 and 12
right,
is the way I read it.
exactly. So they're forcing it up. So it's literally like, hey, you want hex, you're gonna have to move it to that range to get it.
Mhm.
All the people that sell it have sold it into the liquidity, the LP position. And what has happened multiple times is when people sell it down into the very high, low, what's the word? Low slippage ranges into the LP support. Guess what happened? He pulls the LP. He pulls it and puts it into his balance, into his cold storage. Boom, it's gone.
Mm.
Okay, good luck. Now what happens is he introduces new cash,
Mm.
which
Mhm.
basically, you'll see the fluctuation inside of the hex liquidity, right? Some days it's like 23, sometimes it's 25, sometimes it's 50. What's happening is that is being pulled out of the market and being put into people's wallets. So now it was only the other day, AXiS, you actually spoke about this. He said, hey, we're down at like 18. Then it shot up to like 80. Then it shot down to 25. Now it's down at 16 again. Guess what? The price is ratcheted higher, but they have accumulated a lot more of they could have done it at 4 or 4.5 cents, but they weren't sure if there was enough market support to follow through, because they don't want to be the cash out, the exit liquidity, much like what Godwell was right at the beginning when the candle shot up and that was the exit liquidity. Nobody wants to lose money at the end of the day when you're investing, doing whatever it is that you're doing. So they're trying to be cautious, and they're also waiting for market to react. So I don't see anything like, the play that they're doing is pretty calculated.
Mhm.
And we unfortunately we're exposing it right now of what they're doing, which is not good to actually put into people's perception, because we're still dealing with a lot of people that want to cash out, and what we don't want to happen is for the liquidity to be removed out of the market. So what's important is that from the gameplay that I can see of what's being activated at the moment is we're now in a situation we need to jump. We need to jump from where we are at about 5 cent into the sticks, and then it looks like God damn it, I don't remember this guy's name. Sumi.
Sami,
Sami, yeah. Sami.
Okay,
this
Sami,
fucking
shout
Sami.
out, man. Great video, bro. Great video. Loved it. All right. So what has to happen is all those fucking toilet paper hands have to move their goddamn money up,
Yeah.
right? They now have to basically say, fuck it. We're not going to buy at 1 or 2. We're now going to buy it like 4.5, 5, 6. And then the whole thing shift up. Like I tweeted a while ago, that's how liquidity works. It shifts up and it moves along with the market. The market is bullish. AXiS will talk about charts. We've broken resistances, all this sort of stuff. So all the TA guys and all the guys that were selling down at 2, 1.8, all this transitions and moves, and now they're going to be playing this game, but in an upward market, not in a downward market.
Exactly.
And now this introduces and this is only 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are playing this particular market at the moment. When there's 50 other people that have $1 million, $2, $3 million equally, that are all sitting there in cash right now, all gobsmacked, because guess what? They were all waiting down at 1.5. Now it's at fucking 5.5.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a fucking shit ton of money that is bro, it's gonna dip more. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be patient. Yeah, but what if it's not? The train don't stop.
Yep.
And Hex is decorrelated.
Yeah, we proved it's decorrelated. We've shown you that the liquidity is out on the ETH pair. Here, we're at the edge. And all this does is gives big players that are going to step in and support price to give them a chance to accumulate with no slippage. So every time you come back down slightly, it can be bought right back up with little slippage and just keep it on the edge of the upper side here. And I saw this same exact play, and Silver will attest. This same exact play occurred during the 3,000% run up on Hedron. And it actually played out very similarly. The charts look very similar to the same way that played out. And I can show you right here on the 15-minute. This is called.
While you're pulling that up, Fast Abdul brings up a great comment. The time of the trifecta is upon us. Quickly burn all your WhatsApps before it's too late. Thank you for that super chat, man. I appreciate it.
So this is called the 3 rising valleys pattern. And so on the 15-minute here, you can see that this has been met with what looks like resistance, right? Because you see these candle bodies go up here and then they get slammed back down and they close lower. Same here. We go up here, slam back down. And in a regular market where you can't see the order book, that looks like a shooting star pattern or a really bearish occurrence. But in the case of Hex, which is traded on chain, what's actually happening is it's hitting the low slippage zone and it's rubbing up against it. So this is like rubbing up against the low slippage zone. And the more that it plays and consolidates at this level, the less chances you have of downside action just due to the regular market actions. Now, if you pull up this, you can see that there's been 659 buys to 649 sells. So the market looks neutral on the surface with maybe about a $600,000 difference in volume, but yet the price is up a crazy amount. It's up 229% off the low. And in the last 7 days, it's up 121%, sitting at the edge of a liquidity wall, being supported by a few whales. So this is all setting up for a sentiment shift of the ages. And I would be very concerned if I had to wait 9 to 10 months for maybe getting a chance at 3 cent, 2 cent Hex again, because that chance may never come.
I'd be very concerned if I was in cash. When you're looking at what's the value of that wall? The value of that wall is millions. Plus, there's going to be a lot of limit orders that you cannot really see.
This is against
combine.
ETH. So it's like 33 ETH, whatever 33. This is against ETH. So what's 33 ETH?
Yeah.
Times what's the price? 1,600, 1,650. Yeah, so it's 54 grand each bar, right? So you'd have to dump, hundreds of thousands or millions consecutively to try to push us back through on the ETH pair. And there's only 6.5 million hex in the pool, and there's only 1,600. The ETH pair is important, but right now it's not as important as the USDC pair.
I'd focus, yeah, definitely focus on the USDC for sure.
And that's, obviously without going, I can't really say too much more, but just that's the pair to watch. But look at how low this is. This was at 90 million on the sell-off the other day. So the amount of hex in the pool right now is at 16 million. Well, back here on this sell-off the other day, that went from 5 million all the way to 90 million on that sell-off, and now all of it's gone again, and it all got reabsorbed by the market. And so this pattern, this 3 rising valleys, this is rising valley number 1, valley number 2. Perhaps it's going to try to make a valley number 3, but the market's so strong right now, you're not even getting a chance to do it again, really. And so I can show you where this happened on Hedron. It was back here in, what time was this? Right here. So in that 3,000% run up, here's your rising valley number 1, rising valley number 2, rising valley number 3, and then bam, you came up hard off that level. So,
and I'll add to that as well. Yeah, I'll add to that, and that's exactly why I said I'm seeing similarities of what occurred inside of Hedron is happening inside of Hex again, and it's leading the market. And there's people that dismiss it or say certain things, but like I say, you cannot fuck with a Hex bull market. You're either in it or you're literally train has fucking gone, and good luck. You're gonna buy back a fraction of what you could have done coming in. And even now, it's it's okay. It's took off, but hey,
I think
you either have
everybody
exposure or you don't.
Everyone on Earth right now that was in a Hex is having that regret feeling, like I wish I would have bought. I wish I would have done more to get more cash to buy more at the lows. Everybody's having that thought right now. I don't if you've been watching the chart for a long time, you're having that feeling. And you'll have perma bears that'll say like, oh, it'll come back down, But what if it doesn't? So those guys are better be like locked and loaded.
And again, cautious of who you listen to. Again, go back in the the history of what it is that people say. If there are people out there who are saying, yeah, it's going sub 1 cent, guess what? Fucking stop listening to them. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Okay, deactivate. The reality is this has happened, and if those people aren't reassessing, updating their worldview, these are not people you want to listen to. End of case.
Real quick, just want to say PNW Sasquatch, thank you so much for that super chat, man. I'm trying to pull it up again. Let me find it. There it is. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
So again, if we just take a simple Fibonacci extension tool off the capitulation lows of 1.6 cents to the local high of 2.6 cents, and then down to the wick low of the 150 million X dump from that last big whale account seller, and you project out the extension levels, we've been playing with, we just basically tapped perfectly the 3.618 level, which is a significant level. And the funny thing about Hex is, if it's doing this, it's not done, because when Hex gets bullish, it starts taking out these levels with force. It doesn't just, you would have already seen a rollover a long time ago. This is a perfect spring off this level. This is called a spring when you get to the bottom. And now it's just in free float up, like it's actually floating up right now. Like there's no, now that the wall's been set, that's even more concrete backing behind price.
Mm-hmm.
And then here you can see, like, this is the largest weekly candle that we've printed since going back to the breakout of 2021, right? When we did this last time. We haven't seen big, well, maybe you could say the Pulse X hype candle here in December of 21, but if you ignore this whole run up from 10 cents and on, because it was all pulse chain hype, just ignore it, like act like it didn't exist. The last time we saw candles with this amount of size was back here. And so this is the first organic, like, major market move we've seen in Hex in a long time.
We got a question for you, AXiS, really quickly. And thank you for the super chat, KH. What I'm seeing on the chart is resistance at the 50-week moving average and resistance at 8 cents to break the long-term downtrend. Is this correct?
Let me answer that, AXiS. Let me jump in. if I may,
You
and
may.
no disrespect.
Yeah.
Whales don't give a fuck
100%.
about TA.
What I was gonna
They're
say.
blowing with millions of dollars.
Like at this point, like if you're looking at regular technical analysis for some of this stuff, and you're not listening to what we're saying about liquidity, and you're not listening to what we're saying about accounts. This is the 50 MA. I understand that this is your downtrend resistance, and that it's coming in to touch that level, and that it could be a significant level from a technical level. But the way Hex treats those levels is it just shits on them. Like this one. Like it's just the way that the chart moves. And like even like this one. You want to know okay, here's another way to look at this if you're a TA guy. It's way simpler than you think, okay? So if I could pull up this chart, anytime Hex has 3 green months in a row, it's followed with a 900 to 2000% run. That's the history, okay? So if February closes green, and look at how small these candles were back here on this one. But if it closes green for February and March, you know, things often rhyme in markets, and this is not, you know, this to get the price to do a 10,000x. It wasn't just an accident. It wasn't just random buyers. There is a motive and a force behind this chart, and the liquidity is telling the story. And so if you're a TA guy, all you need to look for is the third green candle in March. You get that third green candle, watch the F out.
That looks
actually
scary, huh? That looks scary right there.
Yeah. And actually, there's something I want to bring up quickly as we're talking about the price going up, and something to keep in the background of everybody's minds, because I was DMing somebody about this, I think actually this morning, and I think it's a good time to bring up. If you looked at my most recent stream, I think, yeah, the most recent one I did with AXiS on his channel, I talked about like the backlog of HSIs on the liquidation auction. And so right now we have like almost 4,200 of them. And one part of the reason why we have a backlog outside of there's just so many to start is that a lot of these are like, you know, half a T share, maybe a whole T share, not really something with enough economic energy behind it to motivate or incentivize people to start them. But as the price starts going up, you know, just to take an extreme example, when T shares were $10,000, all of a sudden half a T share, a third of a T share, a whole T share becomes so much more enticing and so much more valuable. So we're having a backlog of what seems to not have a lot of money in it as of right now. But as the price is going up from, you know, if this trend continues to more significant levels, 20 cents, 30 cents, eventually whenever we happen to start tapping all-time highs again, paired with the T-share rate that's ratcheting up from the Godwell conversation that we were just having, all of these are starting to become more viable and is going to bolster our Icosa yield and make Hedron that much more disinflationary. So that's something I wanted to bring up as a background context to everything we're talking about here.
Yeah. So I guess if you guys don't have anything else you want to add, I mean, we kind of spilled the beans on enough. You know, this has been a pleasure getting in here quick and showing you guys some of the deep nuts and bolts of what's going on in the Hex ecosystem. If you're in cryptocurrency but you just don't have any exposure to Hex, now would be a good time to start considering the DCA in if you want to be more conservative. If you think we're going to go play with that line and potentially get rejected for half of the month of March before ripping, then, you know, maybe that could be a play that you'd want to make. But I just, you know, I caution everybody that risk is to the upside, and it has been for 2 or 3 months now.
Yep. Yeah, and this is something you've been talking about for months at this point.
Literally, since November, December, I started saying I'm more scared of upside than down. Yeah, it was a slow bleed. It took forever and it was painful, but it was not as painful as watching something go up and leaving without you. That is the worst feeling on earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys.
Trifecta,
mic drop, outro.
Before we go out, where can we find you guys quickly? Show your stuff real quick, and then we'll hit the outro.
Yeah, you can find me at axisALiVE.com. I mean, right now that's my main focus is providing content for my paid members, and also, you know, keep in mind, I've been in this community for 2.5 years. I was a day one Hexican, but I did leave for the first 6 or 7 months because I saw the chart do this. And then when Godwell pumped the price, I realized, hey, there's something to this thing. So I looked into it, did my due diligence, and I came back with whales only, stronger. I've improved my craft. I've given so much for free on Twitter, and I will continue to do that forever, because I think community is the most important thing. But if you want a little more, a deeper dive analysis and some of like access to like some of the most like talented people in the cryptocurrency space, you can get them on my platform. So go check that out, axisalive.com, on Twitter at axisALiVE. Appreciate you guys. Silver's an amazing Chainalysis, and he just understands the psychology of markets. And Sloth's
Mhm.
understanding of game theory and mechanics and seeing and being on the edge of what's coming next. It's just amazing. So follow these guys.
Thanks, man. Silver?
And yeah, outro. I guess it's gonna be, if anyone wants my personal phone number, it's plus.
All right, everybody. Peace out. We'll see you next time.
Hex was cheap at the time, right? So it was a little bit, to do. And so I don't think I'd do that again. I think I'd try to be at higher numbers. And but it's I guess the new guys could really, if they believed, if they made the decision and they had what they needed and they didn't, they weren't, always invest what you can afford and to lose, all that kind of thing. Um, the best way to do it is as soon as you make the decision would be to outlay the capital then, right then, and to do it at the numbers that you think you need to do. And then you build your ladder. And and then from there, what you'd be able to do is roll your ladder on. Let's say you just did it quarterly for sake of argument. You could roll your ladder every quarter, and you'd always be out quattro cinco into the future. So that might have been a really good strategy, but you could probably do that now without as much concern as back when Hex first launched. That's for sure. Yeah, free speech, and that would have been a supreme mistake if you had not engaged, right? It would have been terrible. So I'm glad that you did. Um, but we're all playing our own games. We're on our own journey, right? So new people, good for them to come in and experience what they need to experience. I mean, it. I do it too. I compare, but it's better sometimes not to try to compare to what the other guys did or got, and maybe instead focus on what you can get, because you know the kind of yield that we get is pretty cool, right? That you can get, and so even within the hex system right now, being able to get 10%, on short stakes, pretty cool. I think that's awesome, considering you got nothing else. You don't have anything else that can give you that kind of yield. I mean, maybe some things are changing, but all right. So yeah, if you guys haven't seen this, as a Patreon site. They have drives everybody there. To that front side. But let's see here. What do we got for poll responses? Let's look. Let's see. So this is the poll I put up there. I think I also duplicated the poll. Um, I also duplicated the poll on Twitter in text, and also in Telegram as a poll. I think I thought Patreon would just make it easy for people to come here and just vote whether they're members or not, because this is public. This post is public, and so they'd be able to come in and just vote on things. But apparently, it's not that easy. to do. So we have to actually sign up or sign in some way. You don't have to pay, but I mean, you have to sign in. So what I'm looking for is the poll data on what people are looking for. So it's good that it also brings that Patreon if people want to join that. Um, so what I was asking about the design is, what do people want to see? What do you want to see with the new